In 1967, Roland Barthes wrote La mort de l'auteur, the death of the author, an essay proclaiming that the opinions of an author on what his text may mean are irrelevant to the interpretation of said text. In 2020, Julian and Magnus decided that the author's abilities are just as irrelevant. This is Kill the Author. Hello and welcome to Kill the Author, the finale of our school days.
Episode 23. It is time. We finally made it.
We made it. We're at the end. We're at the second half of the final episode of School Days.
We're in the end game now.
We made this joke at least 3 times already.
I mean, we're actually in the last episode. I had to make it again.
Yeah. Understandable. It's been a bit. We started this January 2020.
Yes.
And I will try to edit this episode and get it out by the end of the week. So until the end of like Christmas proper, first, second day of Christmas and all of that.
Yeah. In Germany, the 24th is part of Christmas.
Yeah, the 24th here is like basically where we celebrate. And then the 25th and the 26th are like days that are just additional Christmas celebration.
So I have the feeling this episode will require a content warning.
I mean, yes. We've been kind of inconsistent about content warnings. We should have been better with that. But yeah, multiple content warnings. Let's just put a not suitable for any audience in here.
We should have done this in every episode.
Yeah, there's sex-based content warnings that we have to put out here because I'm going to talk about some things that happen in the game. But it's not that
again.
rough. It's not that rough this time, actually. There is definitely violence-based, especially like I'm gonna put out a content warning for blood. We will be talking about blood and we will be talking about grievous wounds. All right?
Yes.
Just if that's not fine with you. We'll do another little reminder when we get to the point where we actually talk about that. And you can just nope out then. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. We're just glad you're here. We're just glad you're here for the end.
So I think before we begin, in preparation, I spent yesterday night and this day rewatching the entire show from the beginning.
And I did not. I did not feel like that.
I'm glad I did.
All right.
Because now I have the whole picture in front of me.
I actually did rewatch episode 1. I did rewatch that one.
And I have a few things written down this time.
All right.
A few minor things that I noticed and I think that we forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, in the last episode, there was no intro. Particularly episode 12 doesn't have an intro.
It was just the School Days logo.
It's just the title card, and then it shatters like glass.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another episode which I knew that doesn't have an intro, and that's episode 1.
Yeah, usually the first episode
intro
of an anime doesn't have the intro.
But what I forgot is that in the first episode the intro shatters.
Oh,
exactly the same as in this one.
It also shatters. I mean, yeah, foreshadowing, right? Foreshadowing that everything's gonna go to shit. I mean, the tagline of the anime is already kind of foreshadowing.
I can imagine we probably even said that in the first episode.
I think we mentioned it, actually.
Probably.
No, I'm pretty sure we mentioned it, actually. Because I did not just rewatch the first episode of School Days in preparation for this podcast. I also re-listened to the first episode of our podcast in preparation
I didn't do
for this podcast. Because I wanted to figure out some stuff. I'm gonna just address a few points we talked about in the first episode here to lead all of us into it real quick. So here's some things that we talked about in the first episode that I just want to get us back to. Basically, in the first episode, we set out what we wanted to do with this podcast. And I just want to go back to this real quick just to see if we actually stuck to that. If we actually managed to do what we wanted to do with the podcast. In direct preparation, we've rewatched the first episode. We're gonna go through this show, episode per episode, trying to see what we can find. It will analyze the visuals, it will analyze the themes, it will analyze the dialogue, and Yeah, that's the general concept. I feel that's what we did.
We mostly stuck to the... I mean, we did meander, but we stuck to the theme.
Yeah, we stuck to these ideas. Also, we talked about how... especially I talked about how I want to look at this, like... with disregard. That's the intro. That's the fucking intro we have. We don't want to talk about the quality of something, just about what it might mean. I did say that in the first episode, that I want to kind of ignore quality, and I feel that's the thing we failed at the most, because we talked a lot about quality, I feel.
Yeah.
But, like, not just quality. We weren't just giving our opinions on it. We also, like, tried to find deeper meaning. So I think we overall were successful.
Okay.
Also, just two other things that I wrote down that we said here. One of them is that School Days doesn't have a lot of named characters, is something we claimed in the first episode. And that is dead wrong.
Why did
School
we
Days
say
has
that?
a shitload of named characters.
Why would those dumb idiots say that?
Yeah, I think we thought it was just Makoto, Taisuke, who you called Taisuke in the first episode, by the way.
Of course I did.
It was Makoto, Taisuke, and we thought, like, the girls. We thought that was all the characters. But we, first of all, really disregarded how many girls there were.
Okay. I think it's less that we acted like they didn't have names. It rather that we didn't care about their names whenever we watched it.
Yeah, that's basically it. And we know a lot more now.
Now I know all of their names.
Yeah. And I know them if I look them up. And another thing that we said, and I think this will lead us very well into this episode, is that usually you'd expect a visual novel-based anime to adapt one of the endings of the visual novel. Instead, what they did in the anime was adapt multiple endings and put it all together so you can date all of the girls. And I think that leads us into this episode, because I think we were simultaneously correct and wrong about that.
Okay.
And we'll get to that when we'll get to that in this episode.
Okay. I do have another thing to say that I paid attention to in all these episodes, because I finally wanted to figure out how all of these trains work.
Oh, okay, the train system.
Yeah, let's talk geography.
Okay, so where everybody lives, for example.
Yes, this.
All right.
And like how it makes sense that characters pass by each other and like get off and on the train and stuff. So, and you said before, Haramihama isn't just a station, it's a city.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's true, but it's not the city.
All right. So it's like basically a sub-part of the city.
I think the city is Tokyo, just based on the airport being identical.
Yeah.
I think Haramihama is just a fictional suburb in Tokyo.
Okay.
Also, I think it might be called Harami, because every other part of the city has Harami in front of it instead of Haramihama.
Oh, okay.
But the wiki says it's called Haramihama.
Yeah, the wiki says it's called Haramihama.
So I don't
know.
know. Maybe there's more info in the visual novels.
Maybe.
Like, for example, the middle school that Makoto used to go to was called Harami Middle School. And other things like that.
Maybe Harami means something.
Yeah.
Maybe it means radish. I could imagine it just being Japanese for radish.
So there's basically one train line that basically everything happens on. And the earliest... I'm just going to start arbitrarily at one end outside of Tokyo. Like the one that's the furthest away from Tokyo, probably. That's actually relevant. And that's the station where Makoto leaves. I'm not sure it's ever actually mentioned by name. It might be Hagashi Harami, which means East Harami.
Okay, so just another part of this Haramihama place.
Yeah, I think that's where Makoto lives. And it is the earliest, the furthest one away from Tokyo that we're ever introduced to. The next station that's relevant is Haramihama. You know, Haramihama. Have you had...
I went just briefly while you were talking, I looked up what harami means.
And it means?
Conception or pregnancy.
No!
Yeah!
That's impossible!
Harami means pregnancy.
So Makoto lives in East pregnant.
Yep. Yeah, so we learned something.
So
continue.
The station that's relevant the furthest away from Tokyo is where Makoto lives. Probably East Harami. And the next relevant one is Haramihama, the station, which is where Kotonoha lives. And probably also Hikari, because in the pool episode, this is where she leaves.
Okay, yeah.
And Kato maybe. She's from Harami, but I don't know where from Harami.
From which part of Harami?
Yeah, we never see her drive the train, so who knows?
Yeah.
And then the next one is Haramasu. I'm just mentioning this because it's mentioned in a single episode.
Okay.
Because in one episode, Kotonoha enters the train there rather than the regular station at the school to avoid other people. Anyway, the next relevant station is Guakenmai. That's where the school is.
All right.
Yeah, like from the first episode, this one's actually featured pretty often and always said Guakenmai on it.
What was the school called again?
Sakakino,
right?
Sakakino Academy.
So it's not connected to the name of the station. All right.
So from the school, Makoto drives through Haramihama to East Harami where he lives.
Okay.
And Kotonoha lives at Haramihama.
Okay.
That's where we always see her getting on the train and off the train, with Makoto being in there. Then if you drive in the opposite direction from Guakenmai, the next name station is Motihara Sakashita. That's where Sekai and Setsuna live. And that's where Setsuna lived, because she lives in France.
She lives in Paris now. She now lives at, I don't know, Charles de Gaulle, Place de Charles de Gaulle station.
I forgot.
Or whatever.
She lives in French Pregnant Station.
Yeah, she lives in Prégnant Station. I don't think that's correct.
Probably not.
My high school French is a bit while ago.
And then further in that direction is then where the city would be, Tokyo. At least it has to be, I think. Because on both scenes where someone saw a kiss happen through the train, it happened on Motihara Sakashita station.
Okay, so there must be a reason why people drive further than this.
And the first scene, it was specifically Kotonoha, I think in episode 6, driving after she bought her knitting stuff in the city home.
Okay, that makes sense. That she did that in
and
the
she
big
saw
city.
Sekai and Kotonoha standing at Motihara Sakashita station where Sekai lives.
Yeah.
And the second time around it was, Sekai on the station seeing Makoto and Kotonoha drive by from the city to Makoto's place.
Yeah.
Then some other things that you probably didn't forget about, but I did. It's in episode 7, pretty early on, because we kept joking about that everyone keeps thinking that Makoto is with Sekai, not Kotonoha. Yeah. People keep mentioning this.
Yeah.
Setsuna explicitly told this to everyone. Right after episode 5.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't episode 7. This is why everyone keeps believing it. The second time around, it felt a lot less weird because I think this is why.
Yeah. I did not remember that. No.
Yeah. And the other thing, because we were so confused.
We were confused about a lot of things.
Specifically, right before the sex tape viewing. That apparently Sekai and Kito didn't know each other.
Yeah. We had a lot of theories about how much they actually knew each other.
And the thing is, they almost didn't interact at all up to that point. It's true. There's 2 exceptions that I want to mention. Both of them in episode 9.
Okay.
That's the first episode that's fully school fair.
School fair, okay.
The one that ends with the dance.
Yeah.
First of all, in this episode, they actually meet each other. Because Mikoto was hanging out with Kato the whole day, and then Setsuna shows up and drags him back, and she throws an angry look towards Kato. So that implies that they did know each other.
I mean, Setsuna takes her, or who takes her?
No, Sekai did.
Okay, you said Setsuna. Okay,
oh yeah, I meant Sekai.
Sekai takes him with her.
Yeah,
I mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she knows anything about Kato, just that Makoto is with another woman. Yeah. And that's enough to, get her worried, understandably.
And the other instance in the same episode is a bit later in that goddamn scene with Taisuke
and Kato.
And Kato where she demasculates him.
Yeah.
There, he specifically says that while he's explaining his whole story, that he thought that Sayonji-san was dating Makoto to Kato. So, she would have had that information as well. Yeah. But aside from this, they really didn't interact up to that point.
And I have reason to believe, which I'll get to later on, that the whole school festival thing can be viewed as, kind of separate from the rest of the story. Actually, a lot of the anime, which we didn't know until this point, is extremely loyal to the visual novel. At least the beginning. It strays a little bit towards the end, and some things are rearranged, and you go multiple paths that you couldn't all go at the same time in the visual novel. But, and it was so fucking vindicating when I found that out while I was looking through the comparisons between the anime and the visual novel, basically everything at the school festival is made up.
Okay.
The school festival is special, and that is the only thing in the anime that isn't based in any way on the visual novel.
Oh.
And, remember how I was talking about how the school festival feels like it was, tonally something completely different, and, all of the themes stopped before it and started up again after it? Like, yeah, that is the case. It was complete filler, the school festival, until the end.
That's weird. Because I swear the sex tape viewing at least exists in one of the paths.
The school festival. No, the school festival does exist in the visual novel.
Okay.
It just has a completely different plot.
Okay.
It doesn't map onto what happens in the anime at all. Like, there's no mascot fight, war or whatever.
Yeah, that was
and
stupid.
like a lot of that stuff just barely either doesn't happen like that or happens not at all.
Okay. So the one more thing I wanted to say from my rewatch is at some point I just couldn't stand Setsuna anymore. I hate Setsuna now.
Oh,
it just became so unbearable.
If you watch it all in one go.
Yeah.
Because she has the same thing over and over again.
It's so weird. I keep changing my mind watching it through who is the biggest source of problem and conflict right now. But she was for quite a while. Anyway, let's actually fucking start.
Where does this episode even start, Magnus?
So the last episode, as we remember, ended with the most disgusting kiss in anime history.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, and that's even more impressive, the most disgusting kiss in school days. So
that was implied. So Sakai is now outside, on her way home probably. She's on a bridge. I think it's the bridge that always shows up in the show, near Makoto's place.
Yeah.
And she walks straight into a flashback.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that scene in Lord of the Rings where Frodo's in Mordor and he falls over and then he's like in Galadriel's sphere and she like tells him stuff. It's like this, like she directly walks suddenly into like a flashback that she's in now. And it's a flashback featuring Sakai and Setsuna.
Yeah, an actually really interesting flashback to me.
Yeah.
We basically get more of the story of what happened between Sakai and Setsuna in regards to Makoto before the plot. Because we'd already seen one scene. We'd seen a scene already that took place like at the beginning of the semester where like Setsuna was supposed to be seated next to Makoto. Yeah. But Sakai basically took her place because she was interested in Makoto.
I think this flashback, though, is in direct response to another flashback scene that we've had before.
Okay.
The one where Setsuna was bullied by some people.
Yeah, this is basically like the scene that takes place in the middle between these two flashbacks we've seen already.
Like we've had before, Setsuna was bullied by some people, and then Makoto like went to her and she like spoke to her and stuff like that.
And basically cheered her up and told her that she's very strong and very cool and whatever. Stuff like that.
And in this scene...
The one source we have for Makoto actually being a better person before the anime.
And in this scene, Sakai tells Setsuna a bunch of details about Makoto that she looked up.
Yeah.
She tells him that he's somewhat popular for some reason.
Yeah.
She said that it was romantic to be saved by him like this, and maybe he even likes you. Basically...
The same thing she did with Kotonoha. That's the vibe that I got. She does
that's
this,
one of the vibes
she tried to do the exact same thing that she eventually did with Makoto and Kotonoha before with Setsuna.
Yeah, I got two ideas here.
Yeah.
The one is Sakai's doing that thing where she's trying to hook up a friend. In this case, Setsuna and Makoto. And also, this is a reversal of what we've seen throughout a bunch of the show, of Setsuna trying to hook Sakai up with Makoto.
Yeah.
Here we have Sakai trying to hook Setsuna up with Makoto. So both of those things happen at some point in the past.
Yeah. I think we talked about before in the episode where Setsuna leaves, about how we sort of got the vibe that Setsuna was always kind of interested in Makoto in the flashback scenes. And Sakai, and she just sort of gave up on that to give Sakai a chance because she thought Sakai needed it more because she loves Sakai so much or whatever. But this kind of expands the view on that situation into Sakai knew that Setsuna kind of had a thing for Makoto. Like, she was full on in shipping mode, but she seems to have a thing for trying to get her friends to find someone they love and then falling in love with that person themselves. And that idea is expanded on in what happens next.
Yeah, so after this scene that took place in her mind, we move on to another scene that takes place in her mind.
But more abstractly in her mind.
Yeah, we're back to this mind theater thing.
Yeah, to this weird no theater.
Which we had before with in episode 9 with Setsuna.
Yeah. And the same figures in black robes with masks reappear. But
there's a difference this time.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not just random ass masks.
Yeah, it's like also like not just random ass people.
Yeah.
The people are clearly Kotonoha, Sekai, and Setsuna.
Yeah, and Makoto. Him too.
Makoto appears later.
Yeah, he appears.
We have Kotonoha in a yellow mask, Sekai in a blue mask, and Setsuna in a red mask.
Yeah, specifically... Setsuna appears first. It's not clear she's Setsuna, but I'm just gonna say it now.
Yeah, we see it from her hair.
Yeah, you can tell her hair. She's wearing like a red mask with like I guess devious look.
I just thought it was kind of funny that it wasn't in any way harder to identify these characters with masks on because they already look the same except for their hair. So it really wasn't a big difference.
I think maybe the expression on their masks are important.
They were all smiling though.
They weren't. They were different, these expressions.
Okay, like sure. I looked at them and I thought they were just all smiling.
As far as I can tell, the mask that Setsuna had on the red one had like a kind of more devious smile on it. Sekai's mask, she had a blue mask on, was smiling. But Kotonoha's mask, she had a yellow one, looked sad.
Okay, I literally looked at them all and thought they were all smiling.
I thought Kotonoha's looked sad.
Maybe it's the lighting and trying to pull something out. Because I actually looked up masks for this.
Okay.
I looked up both No theater and Kabuki theater. No theater is basically traditional Japanese theater. And Kabuki theater is basically the modern version of No theater in a lot of ways. Like when you think of theater masks, you probably think more of No theater. While when you think of like these white or red masks with like symbols on them or that look like a demon face or whatever, something like that, like in stark whites and reds, you're probably thinking of Kabuki theater.
Okay.
And colors are unimportant to what I could see in these masks. And none of the masks look like this. These look like very simplified faces, where those are like complex, realistic looking faces usually.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting because like what this reminded me more of than actual No masks or Kabuki masks is emojis. This gave me more of a like smiley vibe, just like with the eyes missing and with the mouth missing. Basically like very simplified faces, and I thought, hey, they could relate to phones, but now none of them use emoji on their phones.
Yeah, I don't think emojis were invented.
Yeah, like at least not when the visual novel came out, and the anime is like pretty strictly on that.
No, this was the call in bracket close to smile times.
Yeah. If even that.
Yeah. So Setsuna, the figure in red, it's not Setsuna. We don't know that yet. We totally don't.
Yeah, it's very shocking when we see it.
Yeah.
It really hit that.
She says, even so, you started to want the flower you intended to give to someone else. At which point the fourth figure appears. A green figure wearing, a figure wearing a green mask, which is clearly Makoto.
Yeah.
Next to Sekai. Yeah, there's two Sekais. This is another thing. Sekai's like in the middle of this, having her mind theater play around her.
There's mask Sekai and there's like real Sekai.
Yeah, there's another metaphorical mask Sekai holding a flower.
Yeah.
This part confused me because we had the flower before as a metaphor in the other theater.
The flower metaphor is a mess in this. I tried to write it down.
Like at first I thought, obviously she's standing there with a flower.
Yeah.
The flower's gonna be Makoto.
Yeah, originally the flower was Makoto. Like we definitely determined that.
But then Makoto appears.
Yeah, Makoto appears, and then the text switches over to you wanted him to praise you, so you gave him the flower.
Yeah.
Is what she says. So, okay, what is the flower in this?
Is the flower her affection? His affection? Is it her heart?
Okay, so there's two things that I think the flower might be. One of them, the more, like, sensible to me, is Kotonoha. But Kotonoha is also there.
Yeah, she's also present.
So, is it sex? The flower could be sex, love, or relationships, or any affection, anything like that. Because that is what she gave him, but the rest of the text in this scene really seems to imply that it's talking about that she gave him Kotonoha.
Yeah, so that's confusing because, like, even though you started to want, you intended to give the flower to someone else. Like, what? Was she gonna fuck someone else?
Yeah. Did she want Kotonoha? But it's like
wait,
Kotonoha
what?
To
wait,
Makoto?
no! Don't destroy my mind now. I'm so this far.
So. You used the flower as an excuse to get closer to him, so I assume the flower is Kotonoha, right? Because, like...
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what she used as an excuse.
But then why is Kotonoha also present?
Good question.
He's standing absent from everyone else.
Yeah.
It's like, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't get this. Like, if Kotonoha wasn't in this scene, I think it would be easier, but also it still starts with the sentence that you wanted the flower. Which she doesn't in this situation.
Like when it says, and when it came to him, you wanted him to praise you, so you gave him the flower.
Yeah.
Sekai gives Makoto the flower in the background.
Yeah.
And then, like, she says, I'm such a good girl for finding such a pretty flower, right? Let me show you how to pick this flower.
So, okay, how to pick this flower?
Yeah.
The flower must be Kotonoha, right?
Oh, but the weird thing is the mai, the first person singular, because she's always speaking in the second person in every other part.
Yeah, now she's talking like from the perspective of Sekai.
Or Setsuna, because she's Setsuna.
Yeah, but then Setsuna would be speaking through Sekai and Kotonoha and Makoto, and meaning Setsuna and Sekai.
I think we're gonna have an aneurysm.
So basically, this scene is kind of a mess. But
yeah,
the thing it ends on, is basically that the assumption that the Setsuna figure is putting out is if you had never introduced them, this might have never happened.
I thought about this a lot when I rewatched the show before I saw this, and like, because we talked about how this show gives Sekai too much blame, Makoto too little.
Yeah.
And I think, because I said before, it always keeps switching who's the greatest source of conflict right now in the anime.
And the greatest source of conflict, additionally, tends to be the character who's actually active. Because, like, in the beginning, I think the main source of conflict does come from Sekai, because she actually does stuff.
I'm not just talking about I'm talking about the character who's doing obviously wrong things and making the situation worse. That keeps switching. Mm-hmm. And at first, I think it was Sekai, because it started with, like, there's Makoto, he has a crush on Kotonoha. She learns relatively quickly that Kotonoha also kind of has a crush on him.
Yeah.
So it's like she wants to push her friends together.
Yeah.
But then, like it becomes clear pretty quickly that they're uncomfortable around each other. This isn't working great. Yeah. But she just keeps going, and at the same time, she's also trying to sort of build this hidden relationship with Makoto.
Yeah.
So at first, she certainly has blame, but it like diminishes over time.
Yeah, it quickly gets to a point where she's like, okay, something needs to happen here. Mm-hmm. Like, either I need to break up with Makoto, or Makoto needs to break up with Kotonoha.
Yeah. Also, like, when she actually is with Makoto, like, for multiple episodes, she keeps being extremely upset about it because she feels terrible for Kotonoha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, it's true. Like, on an objective
in a deterministic level.
Objectively speaking, it is true. If she hadn't introduced him, none of this would have probably happened.
Yeah.
But then again, like, her motives weren't bad at first. Mm-hmm. Like, when she introduced them. And she certainly doesn't hold the whole blame for the situation.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
There was Makoto. There was Setsuna.
Yeah.
She didn't do all of this. There was Kato as well, to a degree.
For sure. Like, this is... I see this less as, like, God confronting Sekai with her actions, and more as, like, Sekai criticizing herself.
Yeah,
right?
Sekai confronting herself.
Yeah.
I think what she's doing here is... Because I expected at the end of the episode that she would just be mad at Makoto. Mm-hmm. But she's not at first.
Yeah.
Instead, she's disappointed at herself. She thinks that she messed up.
Yeah.
This is all her fault.
Yeah. I think that's actually an arc that she goes throughout this half of the episode. She goes, I think, finally to the point of realizing that Makoto fucking sucks. Yeah. I think that's actually something that actively happens in this episode. That she actually starts realizing that Makoto is I'm gonna kind of quote her later on, that Makoto is unnecessarily cruel in a way that he doesn't have to be.
So then, as it turns out, a big shocker, the figure with the red mask was Setsuna.
Yeah, she takes off the mask, and it really is presented like we should be shocked by that.
Sekai is shocked.
Sekai is shocked.
A question: why is it Setsuna? We haven't really spoken about this, and I haven't thought about it much. But now I want to know, why is Setsuna telling her all this?
I think the reason is that Sekai feels like she lost Setsuna, and like Setsuna also left her. I think that's why she kind of takes on this is what you did wrong figure to her, because she feels like Setsuna left her without really doing anything. That's partially why she went into this depression before the last episode.
Yeah, again, good job, Setsuna.
Yeah,
I thought
great
I should
job,
tell that
Setsuna.
again. You did good. So when Sekai sees that it was Setsuna, she screams no, she's shocked. And then she snaps back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
No, she doesn't actually fall over.
No, she's still on the bridge. I mean, she does fall on her knees.
Yeah.
And she's like telling herself that Makoto said he was fine with all of this.
I was also briefly confused about what that is supposed to mean. Because, like, yeah, he was fine with... I get the direction this is going in. This is the direction of Makoto did choose Sekai. Makoto did choose Sekai in, like, the middle to middle-late of the anime. And she kind of never... Like, she did find out that he was cheating on her with Kato. But, like... that was a bump in the road to her. She doesn't know everything that we know, I think. That Makoto basically isn't interested in relationships anymore.
Yeah. So next, we're outside of Makoto's building for a very brief scene. Where Makoto is saying goodbye to Kotonoha. She's leaving. And she's in the back of a car. And I was like, is this an Uber? Or something, or a taxi?
I was thinking probably a taxi. I looked up what Japanese taxis look like, and apparently they don't have a uniform color.
Okay. I thought, like, I know Makoto's mom is driving her home.
Or it's like, I don't know, her rich dad got her a driver or whatever.
Yeah, parents still exist.
Yeah.
They are just not mentioned anymore.
Yeah, parents just aren't relevant anymore, I think.
And I think this is actually sort of interesting. Because she's not driving home with the train. Instead, she has a car. And that implied to me that maybe Makoto organized this. Because he's like, this is generally a weird thing. Every scene that we have with just Makoto and Kotonoha in the scene is weirdly utopian.
Yeah. In this episode and in the last episode, in the last half of the episode too, that we did the last episode on, he genuinely seems to want to do better for Kotonoha.
Yeah.
So that's the scene. That's all that happens here.
Yeah.
So, I wrote down something about the beginning of the next scene. Sekai awakes to the worst breakup text ever. Like, I have had 3 of my relationships end with breakup text, and they always suck. Like, you don't want a relationship to end with someone writing you it's over. Like, you can actually talk it out with them, and you can get to, like, a satisfying conclusion in person. This one is particularly bad.
So, she's on the bed depressed. We've had this before. That's a thing she does when she's feeling bad. And then she gets a message.
Yeah.
And she sees it's from Makoto and is very excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to make up, I guess.
And we can see the joy leave her eyes as she
sees what he wrote. Because he basically told her that Kotonoha can introduce her to a clinic that she knows. The sooner she goes, the less stress on her body. Meaning she's basically suggesting her to do an abortion.
Yeah, go abort the baby.
Yeah. Which is
essentially what the
meaning
text is.
The breakup text is basically as much as she tells her, hey, my new girlfriend knows an abortion clinic for you to get rid of that baby that you wanted to have with us.
So, okay. This message is gonna be relevant later. So I just wanna, like, set it in stone and make it really clear what this message says. Because the message says... with a strain on your body, it very clearly implies go to that clinic, they can get you an abortion there.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the episode, for the rest of the episode, will treat this message as saying something completely different. Everyone else will treat it as the message saying, go to a clinic, they can check if you're actually pregnant there.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of that at all.
The rest of the episode, whenever someone references Sekai going to the clinic, it is very clearly in the context of they can figure out if you're actually pregnant there.
Really? I thought this was only at one point at the end.
2 points.
I don't think it's that clear, really.
Makoto is also going to imply that, like a little bit
really?
later. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he, like a few scenes later, he asks her if she went to that doctor. She doesn't answer, and then he says, like, well, maybe Sekai was just imagining things then. Which, to me, very clearly says she was just imagining that she's pregnant.
Oh, right, I was wondering what that meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there.
So, Sekai is horrified when she sees this message, like... And then she, like... There's, like, this creepy horror music playing.
Yeah.
And she puts a hand on her stomach because, after all these things, she's still pregos.
Or is she?
Yeah, that's the thing in this half of the episode.
Yeah.
So the next scene is in school. which came.
I have questions.
It came as a weird shock to me that just that school still exists.
There's also no snow outside. So either it all melted away or we had a time skip.
But where?
Like, I assume last half of this episode was on Christmas. Based on context. So we're after Christmas now. So Christmas break is presumably over. Now, I don't know how long Christmas break is in Japan, but I assume it's like at least a week, right? Like a winter break, you'd assume, right?
So maybe there was a time skip, like before Sekai got the message?
Maybe. Or like there wasn't a time skip and it was just everything that happened so far took place on a weekend. Who knows?
Oh, just melted
and the
so
snow
fast.
I mean, we live in a place that has snow regularly. That does happen fast. That does happen that fast.
So yeah, Makoto goes to school, and then on like the back right of the seats, there's no one sitting there. Sekai isn't there basically. And he sighs like in relief as he sees this.
Was it in relief? Because to me it seemed more like sighing in, this again. Like to me the sigh seemed more like, she's staying home again.
That could also be. I thought he was relieved that she.
That could also be that. Could also be that.
Also, another weird thing. There's no one I've ever seen in this classroom. There's only 2 people there, and I've never seen them. Where's everyone?
Yeah.
Is school actually taking place? Are they repeating a test? And then he gets a message from Sekai.
Yes.
It says, "I want to talk to you. I'll go to your house."
So, okay, when are we time-wise? Because, like, we see the clock right after it, and it's, like, 1 p.m., I think. Which would be the end of a school day.
School day.
School day. Like, at least here. But I assume, like, he walked into the classroom that was the beginning of the school day. So, like, did she just wait at his house all day until he was done with classes, and then he went back?
Yeah, maybe?
Or the message was implying after school, I don't know.
Or... maybe he just left.
Yeah, maybe he just left.
Like, who cares anymore?
Who cares about school at this point?
Then we have a scene on the roof.
Yes! We're back to the roof set.
Yeah, with Makoto and Kotonoha. And Kotonoha asks Makoto if Sekai will go to the clinic.
Yeah.
And he says probably.
And he also says to her, like, thank you for doing this and all of that. Like, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, thank God you found a doctor who will see a person about a child.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't know her that well.
Is abortion illegal in Japan? Is it something that you need to find, like, a doctor who's willing to do it for?
I don't know.
I know they have a problem with people not having enough children, but is it that dystopian?
I know that Makoto is... I had the theory in the last episode that we made that Makoto is, like, trying to avert everything to the way that he thinks it should have been. And, like, no, he's cutting everything off with Sekai. He's being with Kotonoha. And it's so weird because the rest of the scene is he drinks her tea, he enjoys it, he says that he was a pushover in the past and he did a lot of wrong things.
Yeah, he's suddenly, like, ultra cool with her.
Yeah, and I was watching the scene, it felt like this scene was cut out of a finale of the show that didn't go like this.
Yeah.
It actually kind of felt like an episode from, like, the beginning, from, like, episode 3-4.
But better, because there he never committed like this.
Yeah,
this is, like,
I told you, these scenes are weirdly utopian.
Yeah.
Then they share a kiss, and it's not a gross kiss.
It's like just a nice little...
It's just a...
like a peck.
Like a anime eating, just nom.
Yeah. Just a little kissy.
Just a little nom. So, the scene begins with Makoto and Sekai sitting on the table across from each other.
Yeah.
And there's a...
We're behind Sekai. We basically see her only from the back, and we see Makoto opposite her on a different couch.
They are sitting there in silence for quite a while.
Yeah. Makoto says to her, basically, so were you at the? So how was it? He asks.
He says, how was it?
Like in a way of like, oh, obviously you already went to the clinic.
Yeah, like
okay.
It's like he lives in the same fantasy world that Kotonoha does right now, I feel like. And then there's an even longer silence. It's like 10 seconds.
A very long silence.
Yeah, he's just sitting there. He's like scratching the back of his head. There's so much tension in this.
Yeah.
And then like he asks her if he should make tea, and she interrupts him and says she'll do it herself.
Yeah.
Like breaking the tension.
Yeah.
And then she just gets up and walks to the kitchen.
And then he says...
Yeah, then he says, I guess Sekai was just imagining things.
So to me,
this makes sense now to me. If you're right, this makes sense.
Yeah, to me, this implies that Kotonoha in a later point, will imply that she thinks that Sekai is faking that she has a baby. And I'm thinking that maybe she talked about this with Makoto off screen, which is why Makoto also thinks this now. Because, like, that doesn't make any sense in relation to Sekai getting an abortion.
Yeah. So Sekai goes in the kitchen. She sets up a kettle to boil water. And then she sees the remains of the feast that she made in the trash.
Yeah, we remember back a little bit.
So that much time can't have passed.
True.
Because the garbage is still there.
Yeah. So I assume it really was just a Christmas weekend or something like that. Or like the end of the holidays.
Like the turkey in the trash looks a little moldy maybe.
Yeah, but not like
it's been there for a week.
Also, we remember back to the scene where Makoto went back home and cleaned all of this up. He also set up a coffee in that scene because
I'm gonna
Kotonoha
mention
was
it
over.
later.
Yeah,
He was also
setting
up a kettle.
Yeah, like we get the same noise again.
And then she looks at this trash for a while as she takes out her phone and starts typing.
Like angrily, we see that her face is angry at this point.
And then we get back to Makoto, and we can hear that his phone is ringing in his room, like around the corner.
Yeah, and he leaves the room to go towards it.
And we see Sekai standing in the
brandishing
kitchen door
a knife
with a knife.
She has a knife in her hand. All this knife imagery is finally coming back.
Yeah. That's a very small scene. It's not that important, I think.
Yeah.
With Kotonoha being in front of, I think, some train station maybe.
With Kokoro.
With Kokoro, with her sister. And like Kokoro she says that she's gonna make dinner for him, Kotonoha that is, and they're gonna take a trip with a boat out at sea. It was mentioned before that she has a yacht.
Yeah, that she has a yacht and that she wants to do something. Like in her insane, her phone is off and she's talking mode. She was talking about the yacht.
Kotonoha isn't acting insane for most of this half of the episode.
Yeah. Her highlights are back.
Yeah,
her eye highlights are back.
I mean, not just this. She was still acting insane in the previous half.
Yeah.
She's acting pretty normal for this scene.
Yeah.
And for the last one as well. And then Makoto picks up his phone. We're back there.
Yeah, he's looking at it.
And the message says sorry. And then there's a bunch of blank spaces.
Yeah, and as he walks there and takes the phone, we get the sound in the background of the kettle like going up and up, this kettle boiling over, the same sound we had before.
And he scrolls down the phone, it gets higher and louder.
Yeah.
And then when he gets to the bottom...
just really quickly, in the end, with the boiling kettle, Makoto burned himself.
Yeah.
So he got hurt because it boiled over.
Yeah. And as he gets to because it gets increasingly, like, exponentially louder.
Yeah.
And then he gets to the bottom of the message, it stops, and it says goodbye.
By the way, it says sayonara. I looked at it.
Yeah.
Which is the exact same thing that Setsuna said in her final scene when Makoto was looking for her at the train station and the screen turned black. We had her voice saying sayonara and the episode ended. Yeah. Just thought it was a nice little parallel.
Yeah. Kanashimi no.
Yeah, that's where it happens.
Wait, I have to do this for real then.
You actually have a guitar here, huh?
Yeah.
Basically, the noise from the kettle stops immediately as he reads sayonara, and then a song starts playing that this episode ends out on, and that's going to be playing for the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
Which is called Kanashimi no Mukou e.
Yeah.
Is the name of the song.
It's
also the song that you heard in the beginning.
Yeah, in the intro. You like the new intro?
Yeah, we faded from our usual intro into this outro song.
Yeah.
And Magnus has brought a guitar.
I have a guitar here. It goes. Okay. You're gonna join me on this. You have the text here.
Okay.
That's for the first verse.
We're gonna sing this. Okay.
Yeah. It goes. Kanashimi no mukou e to tadori tsukeru nara 僕はもういらないよぬくもりも明日も Thank you. That song is a fucking banger.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
look
that
good.
Up on YouTube.
This was already a massive meme long before we made this podcast for us.
Yeah, this song is amazing.
Yeah, it plays for the remaining end of the episode almost.
I've actually seen meme videos with this song before. Like people using it as a meme song for dramatic endings. I've seen that.
Yeah. And as the song starts playing, Sekai standing behind him.
Trigger warning. That time earlier where I said blood and gore, that's now. So, skip.
Yeah. So as he turns around, Sekai's there and she stabs him in the stomach, basically, in the side.
She stabs him.
Yeah, and She like falls over, and she sits on top of him and says, "You're too cruel."
Yeah. Which is what I'm... Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in all respects, he's not the one stabbing right now.
Yeah, but, he is fucking cruel.
Yeah, and she keeps stabbing him. It's a very violent scene.
It's a scene where, while I was writing notes, I realized that I was smiling. Which, that says things.
So, okay, in full disclosure, right here.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve to die like this.
Okay.
I mean, not in sense of the plot, but in sense of a human person who gets brutally killed like this. He doesn't deserve to die. Especially not this brutally, come on.
Doesn't he, though?
I don't think he does.
I think he does. I think another death is not justified.
Okay.
Happens.
By the way, just a thing here. Every time I've seen this anime so far through to the end, it has shocked me every time that this happens because I keep remembering wrong that Kotonoha was the person who stopped Makoto.
That was the case for me the first 2 times or something I watched it. At this point, I wasn't anymore. At this point, I knew.
It's like I keep forgetting.
Yeah, no. It is Sekai who kills him.
Yeah, I know now.
You know why you think that? Because that would be much more satisfying.
Yeah.
And also because it seems like the thing that's being set up. But it isn't what happens.
Yeah, we've had a flashback with a knife before, but not here. Okay, actually, we've had both a scene of Sekai with a knife and of Kotonoha with a knife. So, like, setting up something like this.
Like most of the things that seem kind of weird and like they kind of lack a little bit of setup, this is also something that doesn't happen in the visual novel.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makoto doesn't die. Like, there might be endings where he dies, but the endings that this ending is based on, he does not die in either of them.
Okay.
So, just something to keep in mind. If it seems kind of weird that this is coming from Sekai right now, it's because they were adapting for a lot of it the visual novel pretty closely, and it doesn't happen in the visual novel.
Okay. So when she says, "You're too cruel," we see a bunch of quick flashbacks of scenes with Makoto and Sekai.
Yeah.
And she says, "You're trying to be happy with Katsura-san," who is Kotonoha.
Yeah.
And we get flashbacks of him with Kotonoha. Like, she's saying this very hysterically because she's currently killing him.
Yeah, also, with the next flashbacks, like the last flashbacks we see is of Makoto and Sekai's happiest moments. And at that point, he basically, like, grabs onto her and says her name, like, weakly while he's dying.
Yeah.
And leaves, like, a trail of blood in his wake. And that kind of made me think that the flashbacks we're seeing here are not just like something we the audience see, but like Makoto's life flashing before his eyes.
Yeah, that's what
because
I thought.
he remembers nice moments with her, says her name, like feels regret in his final moments for what he did to her.
Yeah, and then he dies.
Also, he makes a lot of like Makoto noises while he dies.
Yeah.
Which was very distracting to me because he sounds exactly like he always sounds.
I didn't notice because it wasn't out of place because he was actually being stabbed for real.
Yeah, but he always sounded like he was being stabbed when he made these noises.
Okay, like, true.
That's just gurgling up blood noises.
Yeah, and then he's dead. We get like a shot from the top where he looks like seriously Tommy Wiseau at the end of The Room dead.
Yeah.
Like, it looks very similar. There's just insane amounts of blood everywhere. Like, he's very extremely dead.
Makoto's before never seen mom runs in. Makoto, are you alright?
and then Danny runs in. No, Johnny!
Yeah, Makoto's dead.
Yeah.
Makoto was stabbed to death.
Yeah. Then we get a small shot of the cattle now whistling at top.
Yeah, the noise of the cattle comes back in and we see Sekai is kind of freaking out.
Yeah,
I think this is like reality fading back in.
Yeah.
Like she suddenly realizes, holy shit, what did I do?
Yeah, she starts panicking and runs away.
She can maybe get away with it not being murder. That was definitely something that happened in the moment. You can probably assume that she was planning it in some way because she sent him the message. But this was definitely an emotional reaction in that moment. She can plead that it isn't murder. Okay?
I mean, I don't know how school days law works. Remember the sex tape viewing?
She's also a child. And she's also pregnant, so there's hormones coming into this. So, she can plead a lot of things.
Yeah, she can have little stab as a treat.
I would defend her in a court of law.
Okay. And next we see just an establishing shot of the house again, and then Kotonoha gets home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We see her dropping her bag.
Yeah.
as she sees
the bloody corpse.
a very dead Makoto on the floor.
Yeah.
But she basically...
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Yeah.
You come home with your groceries and there's a dead Makoto on the floor.
And she drops her bag, but we see no reaction in her face.
Yeah, she seems like baffled
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yeah, baffled more than she's freaking out.
Yeah.
So the next scene is back in Sekai's apartment for a moment.
Yeah.
She's sitting on the edge of her bed, still covered in blood.
Yeah.
And
She took off her clothes, I think. Like we see clothes laying in the corner of the room.
She was still covered in blood at that point.
Yeah, okay. But she definitely took something off.
Yeah.
Maybe her coat.
Wait a minute, I just realized she's at her apartment. That means she like drove in the train 9 stations covered in blood.
Maybe she also ordered a car.
Yeah.
Just something that I also
yeah,
thought of.
Uber drivers don't ask questions.
Bro, just something I thought of real quick. She says sorry to Makoto. He scrolls down. It's goodbye. And then he dies. She doesn't tell him in person. She sends it through a phone.
We're back.
It's the phones. The phones come back for last communication. The things she can't say in person come through the phone. The true emotions. In this case, I want to kill you. And right here, we get another such message through the phone.
Yeah, she gets another message. She's like hesitant. She waits a second before she picks up the phone.
Yeah.
And on it says, "I'll be waiting on the roof," and the message is from Makoto.
And also, wouldn't that have been a lot more effective if we didn't have that tiny scene before of Kotonoha coming home and seeing Makoto's dead body? Like, I think that could have raised some actual mystery on if it actually is Makoto.
It wouldn't have raised a lot of mystery.
Yeah, but it could have been a little bit, right?
I think I would have figured it out.
I also would have, but like we, the audience, might have had like something to think about in that point,
Yeah.
right?
Like, wait, how is Makoto sending the message?
Did he maybe actually survive? Like, she actually didn't kill him?
Yeah, and then he's like, "Hey, we're gonna meet on the roof, talk this through, okay?"
We gotta talk about this.
You stabbed me 27 times.
You stabbed me a couple of times, and I do kind of feel regret about how I treated you now. So, let's talk.
So, she arrives on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
She enters the roof of the school. It's at night now. She's not covered in blood anymore. Which presumably means that she actually, like, took a shower and changed her clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought at that moment the reason, like, she would of course do this because, like, she doesn't know what she's expecting there, and she doesn't want anyone to see her covered in blood. But then again, she did drive home.
I also think, like, that was a question to ask myself. Why does she respond to this? Because if it's actually Makoto, then she just stabbed him and he kind of survived. If it isn't Makoto, it could be anyone. It's probably Kotonoha.
Or it's like, I don't know, the police? Is there police?
Yeah, I think either way, like, we see that, like, a little bit later, that she brought the knife to that situation.
Actually, as she walks across the roof, we see that she's hiding something in her pocket.
Yeah. So we can assume that whoever is there, and it's probably Kotonoha, is someone she might have to defend herself against.
Yeah.
Also, like, I would also go there if I was in her situation. Because then she can reasonably, like, act like she didn't know that Makoto was dead.
Okay.
Which, you know, is helpful in her case if she wants to hide that she did this.
So, Sekai arrives and walks across the roof. And on the bench,
where they always sat.
There is a bag.
Where the 3 guys met.
Yeah, where the 3 guys sat.
Yeah.
In this roof where the 3 guys sat, there is a bag. Like a training bag. Bag.
Yeah, there's a training bag.
Very not suspicious.
Yeah, just a normal bag.
A normal bag.
And she walks like up to it.
And then Kotonoha arrives. Mm-hmm. She was hiding like in the shadows or something. And she asks Sekai if she went to the clinic.
With like her eyes hidden in shadow.
Yeah, horror eyes.
Yeah.
And she tells her she'd never go to a clinic that Kotonoha recommends.
Which, you know, that's kind of valid. Like in this situation.
She did just kill a man.
She did just kill a man.
But that man was Makoto.
Yeah. So I think no jury would convict in this situation.
No jury would convict? I beg to differ.
I wouldn't convict. It's Makoto.
I don't know. I know Ace Attorney. Anime court is weird.
That's just how it is.
So Kotonoha says that basically she lied.
Yeah.
And this is what you mentioned before that I didn't realize to this point, but Kotonoha believes that she's not actually pregnant.
Yeah. She seems to assume that Sekai was faking her pregnancy.
And then she goes on to say, besides, you couldn't carry his child Because I'm his girlfriend.
Also, like, something I just want to point out in this scene real quick is her highlights are gone again.
Ah.
We see her eyes again, and they don't have highlights anymore with Kotonoha, so she's back in... I see this as signifying that she's back in full-on delusion mode, where both Sekai isn't actually pregnant, and Sekai couldn't get pregnant because she's Makoto's girlfriend fit in.
Yeah.
This is her delusion, only I am there for Makoto thinking.
And then Sekai starts saying, it's like as she's crying, I wanted to be Makoto's girlfriend too.
Yeah.
I just held it in and did everything he wanted me to do. How could this happen? And like this really implies that...
I mean, you and me both, girl. I also don't know how this happened.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, I think at this point she understands that Makoto was in fact a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But I think she knew. She just killed him.
Yeah. I mean, she knew before. But like it only... That point where she killed him is, I think, or where he sent her the message, was the point where she fully grasps, oh, okay, this guy doesn't give a shit at all about me.
And then Kotonoha answers, Makoto is here, right? Why don't you ask him?
Which, oh man, I was wondering what this bag was.
What this non-suspicious bag
I had
is.
no idea.
Yeah, so she looks inside the bag.
And we don't see what's in the bag. We just see that Sekai is fucking terrified of
what
she
sees. She's sick. And
she pukes, which I wrote down as pregnancy imagery, because that's been the signifier of her being pregnant before, this a few times before, was always she has to puke.
Also, we see the bag open, but it's just dark in there pretty much.
Yeah.
I did take a screenshot and like turned up the levels to see if I can see anything in the bag.
I think it was just black, right?
It wasn't completely black.
Okay.
There's shapes in there, but I can't make them out.
Okay. I mean, I assume they couldn't show that. Like, I assume what's in there is something they couldn't legally show to us.
I don't know.
Like,
I've seen the 3 scenes ago.
Yeah, but like big splatters of blood are something different from like some. Like, it's his head, right?
It's his head, yeah.
It's definitely
his head is definitely in there.
And they probably didn't want to show us the flesh part of the neck cut open.
So after this, Kotonoha says, "Let me see," and then she draws a saw blade.
Yeah, and I thought this was interesting. Sekai draws her bloody knife that she killed Makoto with, and Kotonoha draws a bloody saw blade, which she cut off Makoto's head, right?
Yeah, she used the saw blade to saw his head off.
She definitely sat down there with Makoto's corpse and methodically sawed his head off.
Yeah.
To put it in a training bag.
Yeah, and Sekai draws her knife.
Yeah, and it's quickly disarmed.
Also, the knife, like, she bothered to shower.
Yeah, but she did not clean the knife.
She did not clean the knife. This is the Makoto blood knife. I'm gonna keep this.
Sekai, when you stab someone with this, they might get an infection, okay? You don't want to get the blood from another person into this person. That's not good stabbing. Like, you don't want them to get infected. That's not clean. That's not good for them. That's not good for you.
That's bad stabbing, Sekai.
That's bad stabbing technique, alright?
Learn to stab safe.
I mean, she has very bad stabbing technique, as we see, because Kotonoha immediately disarms her.
Yeah, she grabs her hand, disarms her.
And then, like, Sekai had to stab a lot to kill Makoto.
Yeah.
Kotonoha is a fucking pro.
Yeah.
Like, she does one slice.
Yeah, we see Kotonoha brandish her saw blade.
Which is, by the way, not a great weapon to kill someone.
Yeah, it's not a knife, it's a saw.
Yeah.
And then, like, we just see this guy, and then a Kill Bill fountain of blood.
Yeah.
So my assumption is she probably cut open her neck.
Yeah, she cut open her neck, or my assumption is actually she cut off her head. Because we see the head flop to the side. And fall. Like, in one saw blade stroke.
This is a saw! How did you do this?
She's just really fucking good at this.
Yeah. So yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
And then we see... Well, we mostly see the roof and the sky as we hear disgusting noises and sawing going on.
Yeah.
And then we get a shot from inside Sekai.
Yeah. We see basically through an open wound outside Kotonoha.
Yep. And then Kotonoha says, "Just as I thought, you are lying. There's no baby inside of you."
Okay, so let's talk about all the ways this doesn't work. Okay, so Sekai figured out that she was pregnant. The timescale is complicated, right? But it's like at most a month ago. Probably like a week ago, about a week ago. If we don't assume like 2 radical time skips in recent times. So Yeah, the doy, there's no baby in there.
Yeah, no shit.
It's like a few cells at this point. Like,
Yeah.
it's barely anything. I found a quote, because I was actually curious, and that's where I'll get into the visual novel endings, because I was curious about, okay, what do the visual novels say about if Sekai was actually pregnant?
Okay.
I wanted to figure that out. And in the article on the changes to the ending, I had this amazing quote. Kotonoha's ability to determine first trimester pregnancies on a rooftop at night is unknown. Which is the sarcastic wiki writer you usually don't see. Someone clearly wasn't satisfied with the ending of the anime.
Also, she's still in full delusion mode.
Yeah, she's still in full delusion mode. The way I remembered it is that the anime is actually, and like the anime doesn't refute this, the anime is actually implying that Sekai might have lied about being pregnant.
That's what I thought, but now in hindsight, like, she was sick.
Yeah.
Also on her own.
Yeah.
Like, do you think she's... Am I supposed to think that she's cheating that she's, like, lying to herself?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I just want to say, let's do really quickly... the final scene before the credits, before I get into how the visual novels end.
Yeah, okay. So the next scene's actually quite beautiful.
I mean, except for like...
Except, like we see, like the sunrise on the ocean. There's a yacht. It's the yacht.
Yeah, it's a sailboat yacht. It's a nice one.
Kotonoha is lying on the yacht. Embracing Mikoto's severed head.
Yes. Which no blood this time. Apparently she cleaned it up or whatever. Maybe she did like a small metal part at the bottom, like the heads from Futurama.
We can see the bag lying there, and that has blood in it. And then
we don't see his face. It's like pressed against her chest.
And then she says, "We can finally be alone, Makoto-kun." And yeah. That's it then.
What I'm thinking here too is like, did she ever come back?
I don't know. Maybe
did she just die out on sea?
I can imagine that.
I can imagine that she like died there at some point and never returned. I can imagine that. It's not very clear. And there's gonna be like a small after credits scene we talk about that also doesn't specify that. But while we're here, I wanted to figure out if Sekai was pregnant in the visual novel. So first of all, while we go through this, some interesting differences between the anime and the visual novel that I found while I was looking through basically the comparisons page. First of all, the pool episode... this one does show up in the visual novel, but it's after the school festival. And only like in a few of the storylines that actually continue for a good while after the school festival. Because not all of them do. Some end way earlier.
So I assume that the pool episode is quite different in the visual novel then?
Yes. It is also at a pool, but a lot of different things happen. There's some small changes, basically like what I mentioned before. Some of the plots couldn't happen in the same run, but they've been kind of combined into one storyline. The things that happen at the school festival that do show up in the game, but different, one of them is you can actually go with Kato to the fuck room, but you can't have sex with Kato in the fuck room. That's an anime original.
Okay.
When you go to the fuck room with Kato, Makoto decides to either go to Sekai or Kotonoha instead. He never goes to the fuck room with... he never actually has sex in the fuck room with Kato.
Okay.
Also, another thing at the that can happen at the school festival that happened in the anime is the worst sex scene ever between Kotonoha and Taisuke. That can happen in the game. Like, I was going through these parallels and was thinking, wow, the game seems a lot better. No, this part is way worse in the game.
No.
It can happen, but it can't happen at the same time that Kato is going to the sex room with Makoto, because in the visual novel, Kato orchestrates this.
What?
Like, she was kind of implied to do this in the anime because she was given that pep talk to Taisuke, essentially, that led to him doing that in the end. But she, like, it's called rape in the visual novel, and it's absolutely intentionally a plan by Kato to torture Kotonoha even more. So that's there. Also, this leads to them being in a relationship after the school festival in the visual novel. Taisuke and Kotonoha get together after the school festival if this happens.
No.
Yeah, that fucking sucks, right? That really sucks. You remember how we were, like, talking about how Taisuke clearly doesn't understand what happens last night when he tries to get with Kotonoha the next day? Yeah, that's just how it works in the visual novel. Also, Setsuna does nothing resembling anything in the anime with Makoto in the visual novel. She is implied to have always had a thing for Makoto, and there are endings where they can ultimately kinda end up together, but she doesn't kiss him at the school festival. She can hug him, but that happens after the school festival. She can also potentially have sex with him before she goes to Paris and get pregnant, and then return 6 months later and says that she's his wife. Although in that plotline she also leaves for Paris so Makoto can be with Sekai. It's weird. Oh, another thing with Setsuna is Setsuna doesn't always go to Paris.
Okay.
And it's not like she decides to stay behind to be with Sekai or something or to help Sekai. No, in some of the storylines, the plot just doesn't go there. She just doesn't go to Paris. Whatever the reason for her to go to Paris, it just doesn't happen, I guess. So that's the main things there. Now let's get to the endings.
Okay.
The ending in this anime is basically a very much changed fusion of two endings in the visual novel. And when I say two endings, I mean two final sentences, basically. Because an ending can still have a completely different plot and still be considered the same ending as soon as it ends exactly in the same way. And that's the To My Child ending and the Bloody End ending. Now you can probably assume, based on those names, which plot elements they took from them. The Bloody End ending is the Kotonoha kills Sekai ending.
Yeah.
Not Makoto, by the way. Makoto doesn't die in that ending. He doesn't die in the other one too, either. And the To My Child ending is the Sekai gets pregnant ending. Because that's also not something that necessarily happens. Like, basically any of the main cast can get pregnant. And it's like something that is expected in the visual novel. Like, Kotonoha wants to get pregnant with Makoto if they end up together, and Sekai wants to get pregnant with Makoto if they end up together.
Everyone can become Harami.
Which is, yeah, exactly. That's why the town is called that, because pregnancy is an expected...
everyone is pregnant.
It's an expected ending for these 14-year-olds. Okay, let's talk about the Bloody End ending first, because that one is simultaneously the most complex and the easiest one to explain. Because the Bloody End ending is actually one of the most common endings in School Days, which is probably why they adapted it for the anime. Like, you get that from a lot of different routes. And what happens in the end differs, how exactly it comes to this point, but basically how it ends is always with Kotonoha killing Sekai with a saw blade. So that is something that happens in the visual novel and in the anime. With one big difference. In the visual novel, she does it at the train station.
Oh, just like that in public?
With every other cast member around them.
What?
Sekai and Makoto are about to go on a train, and fucking everyone else is there. Taisuke is there. What's her name? Nanami is there. Everyone's there. Hikari is there. And Sekai walks up to and Kotonoha walks up to Sekai and kills her with a saw blade in front of everyone. And it's implied, although we don't see it, that she kills herself immediately afterwards. Okay. Also right there. So that's how it happens in the visual novel, this ending. The other ending can happen in two different ways, and I wrote both of them down because they're fucking amazing. Or like terrible. So let's talk about the To My Child ending. I've cut these down into To My Child 1 and To My Child 2. To My Child 1 is basically the one that's the closest to what happens in the anime.
Okay.
It's still very different. I think it's fun if I just start from the end, and you can infer everything that happened before that. So Taisuke is with Sekai, and Makoto is with Kotonoha. These are in a relationship at the beginning of this ending.
Taisuke
and Sekai. And Makoto and Kotonoha.
Okay.
And Sekai and Makoto decide that actually they're in love with each other, and they should both break up with their respective partners.
And we've had this before.
Yeah, just also Taisuke involved this time.
No.
So after like a lot of this and that happens, Sekai and Taisuke break up, and Sekai breaks up with Taisuke, and Taisuke calls Makoto crying and like, oh, she broke up with me, blah 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 blah. And Makoto breaks up with Kotonoha. That happens. And after that, when they're actually together, Sekai finds out that she's pregnant. And because of the way this ending works and the plot before it worked, it could either be Makoto's or Taisuke's child. And they find out from context throughout this ending that it's actually Taisuke's child and not Makoto's.
Okay.
So as soon as Makoto finds out about her being pregnant and not even with his child, he immediately breaks up with her again and gets with Kotonoha.
How is this the closest ending to this?
I'll talk about the other one. And as a result, Sekai leaves, basically. Nobody knows where she is. Like, Makoto comes to school the next day and Taisuke tells her, oh yeah, Sekai's gone. She's just not there anymore. She left town or whatever. Her mother doesn't know where she is. Who knows? Okay, to my child too.
To my other child.
Or as I call it, the throuple ending. It's the ending where they actually decide that a three-way relationship might be worth trying.
Okay.
Makoto, Kotonoha, and Sekai. This is the polyamory ending. So I'm gonna sum it down a lot because I don't want to talk about the multiple graphic sex scenes described in this ending. Like, this is full-on porn. This is full-on porn. There were multiple descriptions of blowjobs. Okay, I'll continue.
Okay.
Kotonoha is basically cool with sharing Makoto at this point in the plot, as long as Makoto loves her the most. She basically just cares about, okay, if Makoto loves me the most, he can have sex with anyone else he wants. And they basically decide to basically have a three-way relationship with Sekai where they all have sex together and all of that. The only issue is that Sekai isn't into this. Sekai tries it out, but realizes really quickly that it really doesn't work for her to see Makoto with anyone else. She does want him for herself, which, you know, is kind of wild because she's the I ship Makoto with everyone and then I want him kind of person, but alright. And it essentially ends on, like, you know that fucking stupid trope of a third character overhearing two characters talking about something out of context and then taking, like, bad conclusions from it? This has the worst version of this I've ever seen in anything.
Oh, no.
This has, so Kotonoha basically texts Sekai, hey, Makoto and I are gonna have sex all weekend. Come over, so you can also be involved in us all having sex together.
Okay.
And Sekai doesn't come to that, because...
Sekai doesn't come to
Sekai
that!
also doesn't come to that. She does come a couple times in this ending. She masturbates and a lot of stuff happens.
I know you told me.
Either way, they start without her. And Kotonoha basically wants some sexy roleplay because the main thing she cares about is that Makoto only loves her. So she's like, hey, how about you roleplay as someone who only wants to have sex with me and thinks Sekai is terrible and he doesn't want to have sex with her. And then they roleplay that. But, oh no, Sekai arrives and hears it from outside.
How bonkers is this? Who wrote this?
Also, Sekai is pregnant in this ending. That's relevant.
She's Makoto is pregnant. Why not?
Kotonoha is also maybe pregnant.
Is there an M-preg ending?
I don't think so.
Then you just haven't found it yet. I swear it exists.
Anyways, after this, it ends like the other one. Makoto comes to school the next day. Taisuke tells him, oh yeah, Sekai left. She's not here anymore. She got snapped by Thanos. And that's how that ending ends. Ah, wait, real quick. I led into this because is Sekai pregnant? Mm-hmm. Is Sekai actually pregnant?
Right.
I led into this and completely forgot about it. She is 100% totally pregnant.
Okay.
In the visual novel.
I don't think it matters because the visual novel is so far away.
Yeah, maybe with Taisuke, who knows? But yeah, just, you know, in the visual novel, yes, she is pregnant. So that's the endings that the school day ending is based on. I think at this point we can say they really kind of did their own thing. Because, like, it doesn't happen on the roof, but it makes so much sense that it happens on the roof, because the roof has been set up as this place of importance in the anime. None of them end on the yacht in any way. The yacht isn't involved. Makoto doesn't die in any of them. So kind of the conclusions we can draw is why did they change it in the anime the way they did? They changed the roof situation because that just makes sense. The roof has been important to the plot all along. Why did Sekai murder Makoto? Because, like, why do Sekai and Kotonoha die but Makoto don't? Like, I really think someone sat there in the writer's room and was like, wait, why does Makoto get to be the one who gets away from this situation without anything happening?
Why does Makoto get to live?
Yeah, why does only Makoto get to live? The way this ending played out now, my assumption is none of them live, right? Like, Sekai kills Makoto, Kotonoha kills Sekai, and Kotonoha probably just lives in a delusion on a boat until she dies of starvation, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what this goes for. So, to kind of give a little credence to Kotonoha is also gone from everything now, there's a post-credits scene to this episode.
There is. So, first of all, I've mentioned this in the last episode, the credits have no images. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's none. The phone is turned off.
There is a song, Plastic Lies or something like that.
Something like that.
which is about, hey, we used to have nice relationship, now we don't. It's this again. We've had songs.
It's one of these songs.
Yeah.
So there's a monologue spoken by Makoto, who is dead.
Yeah, which is directly
sense.
quoted from the first episode.
Yeah, it was in the first episode, after the title card,
Yeah.
where Makoto describes like how he feels about Kotonoha. Like, there's this girl. I know she goes to the same school as me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write
culminates,
it down.
It culminates in Makoto taking the picture of Kotonoha for the phone charm.
Yeah.
That's the phone charm scene, basically, in the first episode.
Yeah. But this time we just hear it, and meanwhile we see like we basically just see other people in school living their lives while the monologue's going on.
Yeah.
But there's a few characters I didn't know. A few characters I didn't recognize.
Okay.
And I found out who almost all of them are.
Okay.
Because they're all characters from the extended School Days universe. There's cameos.
From like cross days and stuff like that.
Yeah, from the other games. So the first thing we see during the
I didn't notice that.
The first thing we see during the monologue is like the squad outside, and then they like walk out of frame, and we see two girls sitting on the bench behind with like the same haircut. So these are Kazuha Niju and Futaba Niju.
Okay.
They're twins, and they're
sisters, I assume.
yeah, they're minor characters from the other games.
Okay.
And then we see Nanami, Kato, and Hikari doing sports class, and we see a person in the background who I also didn't know. Like, at first I thought it was probably Hikari or Kato because they all look the same.
Yeah.
But it's not. Hikari, we see her in the next scene. She looks exactly the same. This is someone else. This is Karen. This is Karen.
Karen, okay. Is she like the American token character?
No, this is Karen Kato.
Okay, so Kato's sister?
Yeah, Kato is a sister named Karen.
Okay. I mean, good to know. She would have. Karen Kato is a name that I need to keep in mind, because that's the name for like the worst character I can think of.
Yeah, it just wrote Karen is behind them. And then we see one shot of Hikari walking like towards school, and next to her is a girl who I didn't recognize.
Okay.
And that's Ai Yamagata, who I actually mentioned before.
I think the name sounds familiar to me, yeah.
Because she's one of the most of the main characters in Cross Days.
Ah, okay.
She's the main love interest.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Was she one of the girls at the end of the school festival thingy? Of the movie watching?
No, none of these characters were familiar.
Okay.
So there's basically a couple of cameos from other characters from the other games here at the end. And then we see the classroom. No one is in there, it's empty. Yeah. It even zooms in on the back where Sakai and Makoto
like
used to
nobody's
sit.
Apparently they kept that bench empty at this point. Nobody gets to sit there. There's probably still like police lines around the bench.
Like no one's in the classroom.
Yeah.
It's empty.
Yeah.
And then like we see the roof, and Makoto's phone is like sitting on the bench.
Yeah. With like a sakura leaf on it.
Yeah, exactly. Good police work. You left the phone there.
Yeah.
Like they cleaned up the blood.
Just really quickly, we basically cut from this to like sakura leaves in the air, which first of all, it's spring, winter is over, and sakura leaves usually like symbolize basically the fleeting nature of life and appreciating beauty in the moment. Just thought it was kind of interesting. And also something I noticed about that last scene that I wrote down is Hikari looks kind of like neutral at some point, but otherwise everyone looks fucking happy.
Yeah, they all look just fine.
Yeah, they all look just fine. Like, as if all of these characters dying or going to prison or whatever happened with Kotonoha in the end.
Wait, it wasn't Hikari, it was Karen. You're talking about Karen.
No, I think I was talking about Hikari actually.
But Karen she had
the thingies in her hair.
They both had thingies in their hair.
Oh, okay. Either way,
I don't know.
Kind of the vibe that this scene is giving me is everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Like, things have improved and a new year's beginning now that everyone fucking died in their school.
Yeah, like, did anything happen?
Did anyone have, like, lasting damage from this?
Did anyone find the bodies?
Like, I assume so, right? Like, I think she left Sakai's corpse behind.
The school made them disappear.
The school doesn't want this controversy.
Yeah, and like, you know Makoto has parents, remember?
That's actually in the next one, Crime Days. And that's where you solve their murder.
Yeah, I just thought like at the end of the show in Makoto's apartment, there's his body lying around without a head.
Yeah, that's what we mean when we say the parents are forgotten at this point.
Do his parents even know anything that's going on? They're just gonna come home and he's dead and his head is gone. They don't know what happened.
I mean, we know that their parents live with them. Makoto's, I think, the only one where we never got clear confirmation that his parents live in the same house with him.
I forgot.
But like, it's gotta show up at some point.
I think he lives with one of his parents because his parents are split.
Might be.
I think that was it. Anyway, this is the end.
This is the end. This is the end.
Okay. Do you have anything special planned for the ending?
Something small.
Okay, I have something else.
Okay.
I'll let you start.
I have a question.
Okay.
There was a nice little question that you asked me in the first episode that I will edit in now.
Okay. Alright then. So tell me, you've seen the show a lot more than I have.
Yeah, a few more times.
Give us a little introduction. What is School Days about?
And I want to throw that question back at you now. What is School Days about? What was School Days? We tried to look at the meaning of School Days and what School Days was trying to tell us. And I just want to ask you that question. What do you think the message of School Days was?
Was a school with three guys met? No.
If we're supposed to take anything away from the ending, like we're supposed to learn, don't do this, do this, whatever. What are we supposed to learn?
If you have more than one waifu, you might lose your life.
That's a valid option.
Said that in the comment underneath the outro song on YouTube. I had to say that. It's good.
The message that I kind of come back with is, if you're interested in someone, never engage. Like, that seems to be what the last episode is going towards. Like, even the text at the ending, where Makoto says, and I wrote that down because I thought that was really important, it ends with him saying, I was content just watching her every day until one day I wanted more. Yeah. Which is what it ends on. Which is something that was referenced before, with Makoto talking to himself that he just wanted more and more and more and never could find an end to it. So I think the thing it wants us to take away from this is, be content with what you have. Never try.
Don't try.
Never try, it will only lead to everyone's ruin.
I mean, I guess maybe what you could take out of this is, don't get involved in other people's relationships.
I mean, that could also be something.
Because it kept fucking up everything?
Yeah. Or just, like, people like to defend School Days with saying, like, you're not supposed to think Makoto is a good guy. You're supposed to not do what he does.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Because, like, it feels so inevitable what happens. It's like it's always, whoever is the active character right now just makes everything worse. Which is why I think that what this show promotes is passivity. What it promotes is just don't do anything.
Is that what we learned?
I think we learned never to try.
Don't try?
If you never open your heart, it can never be broken.
Okay.
What did you have for us for the end?
I have for you...
Oh.
Cue the music, a quiz show.
Oh no.
We're doing a quiz because the initial reason why I rewatched the entire show is because I kept track of specific things, bingo style.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask you some numerical questions.
Oh god, no, not numerical questions.
And say if you can get within like 20%, you will get some kind of treat from me.
Okay. Okay, let's see. What do we got?
How many times in the entire show does Kotonoha apologize?
Oh, fuck. It happens quite a few times, but not every episode. Sometimes it happens multiple times in an episode. I'm gonna say 10 times.
Okay. She apologizes 16 times.
Okay, I mean, that was off, but it wasn't that far off.
Yeah, it was fine. In episode 2 and 6 in particular, she apologizes 4 times.
Okay, yeah. I didn't do the maths on that.
Okay, next one. How many establishing shots are there in School
Days? Oh, fucking god. Okay, let me do some quick muffs. I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna say 50 in the entire show.
Actually, sometimes scenes have multiple establishing shots.
Okay, 60 is the most you can get out of me. I say 60.
Okay. I counted 182.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I was a little generous.
I remember that establishing shots happen like all the fucking time.
Yeah, I was a little generous what I count as an establishing shot, but they were still all shots introducing the place where you are.
Yeah.
That's what that
oftentimes
is.
The same shot. What was it? Nobil? That fucking tank, that fucking car station right outside of Sekai's house.
Yeah.
Nobil or whatever it's called. I remember seeing that so many times.
No, that's Makoto's house.
Is that
apartment
Makoto's house?
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah,
saw
okay,
it. So
okay,
I took all the notes today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, episode 8 has the most with 27.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
How many scenes does it have that has this many establishing shots?
So how many thigh/ass shots are there in the show?
Okay. I'm gonna say 32.
32.
32.
Okay.
32 is what I'm gonna say.
It's 110.
What?
Yeah.
I remember them being common, but I don't remember them being that common.
What's the number that you said?
32.
Episode 11 has 32 thigh/ass shots.
Oh my god.
It is 11.
How?
Yeah, I was also surprised.
How?
11 is unusually many. Like even
Wait. Episode 11?
Yeah.
Like the episode before the current one?
Yeah, it has a lot of shots focusing on people's thighs.
I must have really just not noticed them anymore.
Like almost every single shot while Hikari is talking at the door is just someone's thighs. It's
Jeez.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, even the pool episode only has 16. And I
Wow.
counted Sekai. I counted Taisuke's. Okay, next one. How many boob shots are there?
Oh, that's a separate category?
Yep. The last one was only thighs and ass.
Okay, so I think there's more thighs and ass shots
Okay.
than there are boob shots. But like thighs and ass shots are so many. How many were there in total? 110?
110.
I'm gonna say boobs are 100. I'm gonna say it's 100 boob shots.
100.
I'm probably overestimating it, but I'm saying 100.
Okay. It's 80.
Okay.
Which is...
That's literally 20%, right?
I mean, okay.
80 is 20% from 100.
I mean,
yeah,
okay,
okay,
it would
yeah.
be plus 16, so 96.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
almost,
close.
you're
I'm
slightly
close.
off, but you almost got
I'm
it.
close.
80, yeah. And yeah, the pool episode has the most at 23.
Yeah.
Of course
Like
it
I
does.
remember that having like when you said that has comparatively few thigh and ass shots, that must have been made up in boob shots.
Yeah. Alright. How many shots are there of Setsuna silently staring?
I mean that's a lot, but that's not that many because Setsuna needs to be involved.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, oh man, I'm thinking very big numbers at this point. I'm gonna go back to trusty old 32.
32, you say?
Yeah.
It's 46.
Yeah. I'm always like a little
Relatively
off.
close. Episode 8 has 13. That's the most.
Episode 8 is also a big Setsuna episode.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
like the first episode that like at the end it has the school festival.
That's
think.
the episode that ends with Setsuna kissing Makoto.
Yeah, right.
She's
yeah.
a lot in that episode.
Yeah.
Okay, the next is my favorite one.
Okay.
How many Dutch angles are there?
Oh god, like you noticed the Dutch angles more than me, honestly. Like I kind of just accepted them at some point.
Yeah, same.
So I'm gonna say 110 too. 110.
110.
As many as ass and thighs.
There's 130. That's 13.
That isn't 20%.
26? Yeah, it is.
That is within 20%.
You did it.
I did one of them.
You gained a treat.
I did one of them.
Episode 2, the one where we noticed that there are Dutch angles has the most at 23.
Yeah. That was pretty hard to ignore.
Okay, next one. How many scenes are there where Kotonoha gets bullied?
I mean, a lot. But I think there was at most like 2 or 3 in one episode. We didn't get more than that. I'm gonna say there's 18. I'm gonna say there's 18 scenes where she gets bullied.
There are 9.
9?
Yeah, you actually overestimated
A lot
this
fewer
one.
than I thought.
Yeah. Episode 9 has the most at 3 bully scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But like episode 2 has 1, and then the next one is in episode 6.
Okay, so
like
a good
Kato
while.
and the squad don't really show up for quite a while.
what I was thinking is whenever Kato and the squad show up, they bully Kotonoha. But they
Yeah,
just
not
don't show
always,
up
yeah.
that much.
Okay, actually, I'm backtracking. The next category is my favorite one, the last one.
Okay.
How many scenes fail the Bechdel test?
Oh god.
That means...
I mean, that's not how the Bechdel test works. It's not scenes.
You know, in other words, how many scenes are there where there's female character talking to each other and all they talk about is men?
I mean, the Bechdel test is applied per episode usually, or like per season.
Yeah,
no matter
in
if
that
you
case,
do it.
I noticed there are a few episodes that would pass it, because there's a very few scenes
Okay,
here and there.
then let's adjust the question a little bit to how many episodes pass the Bechdel test.
I don't know, I don't... Oh yeah, right,
Bechdel
okay.
test is there needs to be at least one
Okay,
conversation.
yeah, no, I didn't keep track of the amount of conversations. Only of the amount of scenes there are where
but
women
every
talk about
yeah,
men.
okay. Okay, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, how many scenes there are that are just women talking about men?
Mm-hmm.
So many, though. It needs to be a scene, so that's a good chunk of an episode. Okay, how many scenes does an episode have? Can you give me a rough estimation of how many scenes an episode has?
Like 15 to 25.
15 to 25?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's be generous and say, like, it's 12 episodes, so I'm gonna say 90 scenes. That's 15 scenes per episode that fail the Bechdel test. I'm gonna say it's 90 scenes. 15 per episode.
90?
90.
Okay.
90 scenes fail the Bechdel test.
It's 36.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought it was clear almost every scene.
It's exactly an average of 3 an episode.
Okay.
Because there's not that many episodes
Where women talk with each other at
where
all?
just women talk.
Okay.
Actually, I was gonna say where women talk without men around, but that just means where women talk without Makoto around.
Yeah.
Because he's like the only man in the show.
That's what I
Except for
mean, though.
Taisuke.
That's why the Bechdel test here for you analyzers out there. That's why the Bechdel test is usually applied on an episode or a season basis, because like scenes where men talk to each other obviously also fail the Bechdel test because they're not scenes where women talk to each other about something that isn't men.
Yeah. So it's only 36. Episode 4 has the most. It has 5 scenes
Mm-hmm.
where women are just talking about men.
Yeah, like for the Bechdel test, you would also add the scenes to it. You would basically only count the scenes where there's actually women talking about something that isn't men. And if there's not one of these in that scene, in that episode, then that episode failed the Bechdel test.
Yeah, I know. There are a few, but I mean, I'm being nitpicky.
I'm genuinely wondering if there isn't a single, like how many episodes there are where there are scenes where women don't talk about men. Yeah.
I could have kept track.
We can do that next time we watch the
Like
anime.
the first episode where the radish bar is in. Like, this barely counts, but there's just a scene where Setsuna orders food and that technically passes the Bechdel
passes the Bechdel test.
They're not talking about men.
Yeah, it honestly hard to remember, cause like the only scenes I can think of are scenes where women talk about other women in relation to Makoto.
Yeah. Though, okay, admittedly, this is also true in reverse. Because there's also no scene where men talk about anything else than women.
Yeah, true.
Because there's only like 5 scenes where it's just Makoto and Taisuke and they're always talking about women.
Yeah.
And they're the only men.
Yeah, we can keep track of that next time we watch the show, and there will be a next time we watch the show.
Yeah.
Like after we've presented it all to you, we're gonna be the most obnoxious people ever if we ever watch this show with other people. And we will watch this show with other people.
We've already have it planned.
We already have it planned to watch it with our sister.
Yeah.
Who hasn't seen the show before. She's only seen like 1 or 2 episodes. And I'm excited for that one already. Like, I don't feel drained after this. I don't feel drained of this anime after this. And I think that's one of the magical things about the ending. Because even if you don't find the ending to be extremely satisfying, it kind of does feel like it leaves a nice aftertaste. Because like if the anime ended after the school festival, I would have a lot harder time to get back to it. But now that it ends here, I'm like energized to see it all again. I'm energized to show it to more people, just to see their reactions to the ending, just to see how they take it in. And I think that's a magical thing about this anime. Like, we can talk about its quality all we want. We can talk about how it's like even for the people defending it, even those reasons, there are so many better things that do the same thing in a better way. But there is, I don't think, anything you can use as like a replacement for the school day experience. Especially because of how like uniquely, strangely bad it is. And I think there's a quality to that badness that it wouldn't have if it were competent. I wouldn't have watched it as many times if it were competent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I think... Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think that's it.
I think that kind of sums it up.
Yeah. I think we're free.
We're free. We have been unshackled. We can finally leave this room. We can finally open our chains that chained us to the microphone so far. Man, it was terrible for like those 9 months where we didn't record an episode. We were just sitting here very bored.
Playing Smash. That's all we've been doing. Just
sitting here playing Smash Bros. Man, the DLCs really brought some light into those dark times. Something new to do finally. But we're gonna be back. This isn't the end of Kill the Author.
Yeah.
We're not going to be back immediately. We're going to take like a bit of a break now. But after that, we'll return to you with our next project.
Maybe then we can start making things that people want to listen to.
Yeah, maybe something that has an audience. That would be an idea. And we'll see what it is. I do want to do The Room, but I don't want to do The Room yet. Hausu is also a good option.
Yeah.
Especially because we use the theme song from Hausu for our theme.
Song.
And you'll get to see, hear what we come up with at the time we upload it. Until then, happy holidays and bye-bye.
Merry Christmas. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.